Hey guys, welcome to today's video on meditation. So if you've been thinking about how can you use meditation to get more health and success and ultimately help you to manage your energy more effectively, then this video is for you. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Elika. I'm an energy optimization coach and a trusted advisor for purpose-driven leaders and entrepreneurs who want to have more energy. The main way that I do that is through the Health Concierge, which is a coaching and lifestyle support where I look at every area of your life that's taking energy away from you, and I look at creating harmony both personally and professionally. But today's video, there are many videos out there on meditation, but I want to give you this as more of a realistic, what works for me, how I do it, and how I got into it. So let's start about what is meditation. Now, one of the most powerful things is to understand that if you can work on your mind, then you are going to see transformation in all areas of your life. And one of the ways that we do this is meditation. Meditation is not about thinking about nothing. Meditation is actually the power of focusing on one thing. So you've all had that experience where somebody's talking to you and your mind drifts off and you go elsewhere. Or you should be working and focusing on one thing, but you're checking your phone, you're checking this, and you're distracted by everything that's happening in your environment. If you can just imagine that meditation allows you to train yourself to have the ability to stay focused on one thing for longer periods of time. And there are different forms of meditation, and most what people think of is mindfulness is not actually meditation. So mindfulness can be, for example, when I'm eating and I'm very focused on being present with my food, and therefore I'm mindful of not being distracted and actually tasting and savoring every mouthful. That's about being mindful. You can be mindful in when you walk and maybe thinking about listening to the sound and appreciating what you see in the environment. That's about being mindful. Whereas meditation is actually this very hands-on, or mind-on you could say, practical approach to training your mind to focus. Now, bearing in mind that the mind is designed to think, it's not about clearing the mind and thinking about nothing. It's actually about focusing on one thing. So, let's go into how I got into meditation. So for me, when I went on my personal growth journey, one of the biggest things that I had was the difficulty to just have patience and emotional management and the ability to kind of see what's really happening in the moment and not have stories playing that I believe is really happening. And so I really wasn't, when I look back, I really wasn't in control of my life. My life was just this movie and it was playing out and I was just an actress, a part of it. I had no control over how I want to feel, what I want my experience to be, and really the wellness that I could choose to have in every single moment. And so, of course, back then meditation, so this was probably about 10 years ago, meditation was one of the big things that was being talked about in terms of wellness. And so I decided to take up meditation. And I started with an app. And the app at the time was Headspace. And I remember it was beautiful because it just had animations of like clouds, like passing by. And it was a guided meditation. And I had to watch everything and just follow and stay present. And I could not sit in silence. I had to start with a guided meditation. So guided meditation is obviously when somebody is talking you through how to take yourself into that deeper state of consciousness. And so they guide you through that process. And I think for those of us like me who have the monkey brain, the very busy mind, and really find it hard to concentrate, it's a really good way of just bringing in some focus to less than what you would normally have. So I started with a guided meditation. And I think I was very consistent at first. I would say that for the first month, I was pretty much doing 5 to 10 minutes of the app every day. And I remember the moment when I started to notice a difference. I started to notice that when people were talking to me, I was picking up on very subtle things that I hadn't done before. Body language, expressions, tone of voice. That was one thing. I started to notice that my senses were being heightened. Then I started to notice where I wasn't acting in what I would say is my highest self. So I would catch myself in arguments with my partner at the time, or in situations where it didn't feel good. And I would remember that this doesn't feel like peace. It was almost like meditation gave me this benchmark of what peace should experience. And I will tell you, I remember coming out of meditation and for a minute feeling peace, and then within 10 minutes I could be in an argument. So I remember that it wasn't like it was immediately after, but there were just moments through the day where I could just have this reference point to know it shouldn't be like this. And the truth is, I think it took me about 5 years to really be able to go, meditation has had an absolute change on who I am. And because the next stage of that was when I'd seen enough subtle signs to know that I needed to increase my meditation. And when I increased my meditation, the period of time to 20 minutes and 30 minutes, that's when I could sense myself going into deeper altered states. It felt like I was no longer sitting on a floor or on a chair or wherever I was and in my body. I felt like I was outside of my body and in this very peaceful state. And because I started to experience that with longer meditations, I wanted to do longer meditations more so that I could have that experience. And then interestingly, because I was doing longer meditations and therefore having that experience more often, that experience was what was completely transforming my life, because it was that muscle that I wanted to be in that state all of the time. And so anything that was bringing me out of that state, I didn't want to be a part of. And that could have been people, that could have been environments. It definitely was for me, relationships. So what I would say is, if you are somebody that has noticed that you have a lack of patience, you have a lack of concentration, you find that your relationships are suffering, if you feel like you don't feel connected with your body, you find it difficult to process your emotions, maybe you feel that you are not in control of your life, I would say what meditation can do to you is give you a feeling of peace and harmony with yourself, with others, and with your environment. So I want to talk to you about how you could get started. So there was a quote that I heard some time ago, and I think it was a Gandhi quote, so apologies if I get that wrong. But it was, if you have no time to meditate for 5 minutes, then you need to meditate for an hour. And if you have an hour to meditate, you need to meditate for 5 minutes. And I see this as so true. But as somebody that runs a concierge lifestyle support, the most important is always to create a habit. And so it's actually better in meditation to do 1 minute or 5 minutes meditation every day than it would be to do 30 minutes every other day. So what you want to do is find a time, and this is what I started with, and it was 5 minutes for me. The moment I think of it's only 5 minutes, for my brain, it's like, okay, I'll just do it because it's only 5 minutes. And because I started with 5 minutes, that allowed me to continue the practice. It allowed me to feel like this was something that I could do consistently. I didn't feel peace for a long time, but what I did trust was that there was something happening. And so I would say to you, start with a guided meditation. Especially the busier your mind, the more you need support. So there are many apps out there. Like I said, I started with Headspace, there's Timer. I also like the Hay House meditations on Spotify. But there are many meditations out there. And start with a guided meditation. And if there's an area of your life that particularly you have trouble with, so that could be your health, it could be your finances, it could be relationships, you could even start a guided meditation on that specific area. And have it as just as an aim to notice how you feel whilst experiencing it. And I would recommend that you do that for at least 30 days. After 30 days, you're going to notice that it's having an impact on your life. You're going to see in the most strangest places where you just sense that you're different in how you respond to things. Meditation will give you this pause before action. So I didn't say this before, but it's important to know that when you're doing something, imagine if somebody just said, okay, pause, freeze, now do it. That's what meditation does. And you can imagine in many of your relationships where it's really handy to have that little pause before you speak or before you take action. So what a guided meditation will allow you to do is create that habit first of 30 days. And then if you do it on a specific thing that you're struggling with, you're going to feel like you're still taking action on something. Now, then I would work up in the period of time. So maybe go from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, but find the time that you feel you can consistently do every single day. Then, before you go for a longer period of time, I would try to remove any guide and be able to just sit in silence, because that in itself is another level of going deeper into the practice, deeper into this state of peace without needing something else to distract you. And then from there, you might want to extend the period of time or decide whether you want to continue with guided and go for longer periods of time. And I would say what you're going to find here is, if we know that there are different frequencies of energy, and at the top of that energy chart is enlightenment, and below that you're going to have experience things like happiness and joy and peace. This is the way to get yourself being able to move through those low frequencies of energy like fear and anger and grief and frustration into the higher frequencies more consistently and faster. And that's what I refer to as emotional management. And when you can stay in these higher frequencies, this is where you're going to find that your mental well-being is much better. And so you experience more health and wellness. And it's also where you're going to experience more success, because you're going to see that your relationships are going to transform. How you create an inner peace inside of you is going to transform who you are and how you show up. It's also going to transform how you're perceived. And now, of course, that's going to create opportunities that are going to come to you that you didn't have before. So I hope that's given you an overview. So just to recap, what we've talked about today is what meditation is and how it might be a benefit. I shared with you a little bit about my experience and what it did for me. And lastly, how you may start a meditation practice. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe if you're interested in hearing about any support that you can get to look at how you can manage your energy and have more consistent energy, peace, harmony, and joy in all areas of your life, both personally and professionally. Do subscribe and do look out for all my videos by making sure that you get notified of when a new video goes live. And if you want to share this with somebody that you think would really need some support and guidance on optimizing their energy, feel free to share this as well. And I look forward to doing the next video on how you can optimize your energy. Take care.